There's a moment in life that many can't pinpoint but all feel when you check your bank account and a quiet relief washes over you. The anxiety that once hovered over every purchase, every decision, starts to fade. You know that feeling. The constant calculations, the second guessing, the wondering whether today's lunch means you'll skip dinner. Then, something shifts. You see it in your account, a balance you didn't expect to see this early in your journey, a number that holds more weight than just its digits. It's not a windfall. It's not a miracle. It's something far simpler, $20,000. For most, this amount seems small. But for you, it's a milestone, a marker that changes the entire game. It's the first true barrier between survival and stability. Between wondering how you'll make it through the week and knowing you've crossed into a space where you don't just survive, you begin to thrive. The truth is, it's not about millions, it's not about flashy cars or the illusion of luxury. It's about freedom, the kind of freedom that comes with having a financial cushion. That number represents the difference between being one emergency away from disaster and knowing you have the breathing room to make decisions, not out of fear, but out of opportunity. You stop thinking about where your next dollar is coming from and start focusing on where it's going. You stop treading water and begin to swim. $20,000 is that moment when you no longer feel trapped by circumstance, but empowered by choice. The weight lifts, and the path ahead starts to feel a little clearer, a little brighter. The road to $20,000 wasn't easy. It never is. It took discipline, sacrifice, and countless small victories. There were moments when it felt like progress was slow. Each step forward met with an obstacle, a challenge, or a temptation to veer off course. But then, the day came when you reached the $20,000 milestone. And suddenly, something shifted. It was as if a heavy fog had lifted, revealing a new landscape. The world no longer felt like a battleground, but a place where you could stand tall, where you could make decisions with a sense of calm instead of desperation. Every dollar didn't feel like a battle anymore. The small sacrifices you had made, cutting back on luxuries, saying no to the impulse buys, began to feel like wise investments. The work wasn't just about saving, it was about building something that would eventually work for you. You remember the days before $20,000. You'd make decisions based on what you could afford in the moment, always measuring if the small things you wanted would tip the balance. But now, with that cushion, you start to think differently. You're not scrambling to survive. You're considering the next step. How do you grow this? What's next? It's a subtle shift in mindset, but one that carries tremendous weight. Suddenly, you begin to feel the power of your choices. You don't have to ask whether you can afford something, you can consider what's best for your future. You've stepped away from the shadows of financial anxiety and stepped into the sunlight of possibility. $20,000 didn't make you wealthy, but it gave you the space to dream bigger, to think beyond today's challenges and toward tomorrow's opportunities. It wasn't just the number that changed, it was how you saw the world around you. Before hitting the $20,000 mark, the daily grind had a way of clouding your vision. Every financial decision felt like a tightrope walk, each step taken carefully to avoid a misstep. Life revolved around survival, making sure the bills were paid, the groceries were bought, and the emergencies didn't derail everything you had worked for. But now, with that cushion of $20,000, something extraordinary happens. You no longer have to fight every day just to stay afloat. That feeling of constantly scraping by begins to dissolve. The financial fear that once gripped your every thought starts to loosen its hold. Instead of worrying about whether you can afford the next bill, you start thinking about the future, the possibilities, the potential. You realize that what you've been striving for was never about surviving, it was about finding a way to live. With $20,000 in your account, you no longer make decisions out of fear. You start to ask yourself different questions. How can I use this to build something long-lasting? How can I grow this to make life even easier down the road? Your choices are no longer defined by the weight of scarcity. Instead, they're informed by abundance. You begin to plan for opportunities, not just avoidance of problems. This mental shift is as important as the financial one. It's the moment when you stop worrying about staying afloat and start considering how to chart a course towards something greater. $20,000 didn't solve all your problems, but it gave you the mental space to envision a future that's no longer defined by stress. And in that space, you realize the freedom you've been searching for is already within reach. Once that $20,000 milestone is crossed, the world suddenly looks different. It's not about instant wealth, it's about newfound freedom. The weight of constant worry lifts, leaving behind the clarity to see things as they truly are. You've spent years moving from one paycheck to the next, living in the shadow of scarcity, always asking, "Can I afford this?" Now, with $20,000 saved, a new question arises. What can I do with this? The decisions you make after this point aren't driven by fear, but by the possibilities that now lie before you. No longer are you confined to living paycheck to paycheck, hoping that the next day won't bring a financial crisis. With that safety net in place, you begin to think about the future, not in terms of survival, but growth. The days of measuring every dollar have transformed into an opportunity to plan. You start asking the right questions. How can I use this money to build something meaningful? How can I make sure this foundation keeps growing? The sense of urgency that used to dominate your life begins to fade. It's replaced by a steady, thoughtful approach to building something bigger than what you've known. You realize that $20,000 doesn't just free you from immediate pressures, it unlocks the door to smarter choices, to long-term planning, and to exploring new possibilities. The freedom to choose is empowering. No longer do you feel trapped by the immediate financial pressures of today. Instead, you see a path forward, one that's filled with opportunities to invest in yourself, your future, and your long-term goals. $20,000 has given you not just financial security, but a new lens through which you view the world. And in that lens, everything becomes possible. With $20,000 in your account, a powerful transformation begins to unfold. It's not just the number in your bank that has changed, it's how your money now starts to work for you. For years, the idea of building wealth seemed like a far-off dream. But now, something clicks. You realize that $20,000 is more than just a safety net. It's the beginning of something much bigger, the snowball effect of compound growth. At first, it's hard to see the power of it. The returns seem small, almost insignificant. A 5% return on your $20,000 might only be $1,000, but that's $1,000 you didn't have to work for. And here's where the real magic begins. As your money grows, it doesn't just add up slowly. It begins to multiply, and you start to see how your money can generate more money over time. The principle of compound interest works in ways you've never experienced before. In the past, saving meant keeping your money safe, sitting idle, barely keeping up with inflation. But now, with your $20,000 growing in smart investments, it begins to earn returns that fuel even more returns. It's like planting a seed that begins to sprout new opportunities. Every dollar you've saved begins to contribute to your financial freedom in ways that compound over time, building on itself. The beauty of compound growth is that the longer you stay invested, the faster your wealth can grow. What once took you months or even years to accumulate will soon be generated more quickly. It's a momentum you can't ignore. Your savings have stopped being just savings. They're now the foundation for a future that can multiply, expand, and accelerate with time. As your savings begin to grow, the feeling of moving forward intensifies. The hardest part of any journey is the beginning, and hitting the $20,000 mark was just the start. Now, the momentum you've built begins to gather force. It's like pushing a boulder up a hill. At first, the effort is monumental, and progress feels slow. But once you've reached that pivotal point, the boulder begins to roll downhill effortlessly, gathering speed with every passing moment. You've crossed a threshold, The first $20,000 was hard-earned, but now it's working alongside you, making every additional dollar you save or invest that much more powerful. It's not just about saving more, it's about saving smarter. As your wealth grows, your financial habits evolve. Your mindset shifts from getting by to growing. You begin to see every dollar as part of a larger plan. Each decision you make compounding the previous one. The principle of compounding is no longer just an abstract idea, it's becoming tangible. The money you've invested is now generating returns that help you save even faster. The first few months or years of struggle give way to accelerated growth. What took months to achieve is now possible in weeks. That's the power of momentum in wealth building. What once felt like an uphill battle has become an unstoppable force working in your favor. And as your wealth continues to grow, you realize something crucial. This momentum isn't just about increasing your net worth, it's about gaining more freedom. The money you once worried about now works for you, and each dollar earned opens up even more doors. Your financial journey no longer feels like a struggle. It feels like a path of purpose, driven by a deeper understanding of how wealth grows, how it multiplies, and how you can use it to live on your own terms. Reaching the $20,000 milestone doesn't just change your bank balance, it changes the way you live. There's a freedom that comes with this number, one that goes beyond the security of having money in the bank. It's the freedom to make decisions based on what you want, not just what you can afford. It's the luxury of no longer feeling trapped by every unexpected expense, the weight of living paycheck to paycheck, or the constant dread of what might happen next. For the first time, you can think about your future without it feeling like a distant, impossible dream. You stop looking at your financial situation as a battle to be fought. Instead, you begin to see it as something you can actually shape. The $20,000 is a buffer, but it's also the launchpad for something more. It's the foundation that allows you to make bolder choices and take risks without the fear of losing everything. Now, you can afford to invest in opportunities you once thought were out of reach. Whether it's upgrading your skills, starting a side hustle, or taking a career leap, you know that you have the breathing room to explore without fear of derailing your life. Financial freedom isn't about extravagant luxuries. It's about the ability to make choices that align with your values and goals. Perhaps you decide to pursue a passion you've put on hold for years? Or maybe you take a career risk you wouldn't have considered before. Whatever it is, the feeling is undeniable. You are no longer a slave to your circumstances. You're in control. $20,000 gave you more than just a financial cushion. It gave you the freedom to live, truly live, and pursue the life you've always dreamed of, on your own terms. Now that you've experienced the power of crossing the $20,000 threshold, it's time to take action. This is where the real journey begins. Reaching this milestone isn't the finish line. It's the foundation of something much greater. You've seen how having a financial cushion shifts your mindset, how it changes the way you make decisions, and how it frees you from the constant worry that used to rule your life. The question now is, what will you do with this newfound freedom? The first step is simple. Commit to building on what you've started. Whether you've just crossed that $20,000 mark or you're still working your way toward it, the key is consistency. It's not about sudden leaps, but steady, calculated steps. Keep saving, keep investing, and keep building a financial future that's in your control. Start by setting clear, actionable goals. Don't wait for the perfect time or the perfect opportunity. Start now, even if it's small. Create a plan that focuses on your long-term security and growth. Make sure to track your progress regularly and celebrate the small wins along the way. Every step forward is a step toward true freedom. The truth is, wealth isn't just about money, it's about choices. $20,000 gives you the power to choose, to think about the future with a sense of calm rather than anxiety. It provides you the mental space to pursue goals, to take risks, and to craft a life you want to live. You're no longer defined by your paycheck. You're building a future on your terms. So, take that first step today. Start saving, start investing, and start dreaming of what's next. Your financial future is in your hands, and the power of $20,000 is just the beginning.